So since the Chris Rock stuff is so fresh in the news, I will be referring to that a lot because this is the easiest way to currently explain the First Amendment in a way that you guys will understand it with a contemporary thing that just happened last night, not even a full 24 hours ago. So let me download this. See if it's come up. All right, First Amendment. So this lecture is going to require a lot of response, so we could kind of talk about this together so you guys will understand it better. All right, from start. Okay. So the First Amendment of the US Constitution, it considers 5 areas, okay? 5 areas. So maybe take notes of this or just remember this when you do this. This video is being recorded anyway, so you'll always be able to refer back to this. But 5 areas: freedom of religion, freedom of speech, freedom of press, freedom of assembly, and freedom of petition. Not freedom of smacking suckers across the face, okay? So the First Amendment. So notice just right here with just that phrase, the First Amendment, it's in all caps, it's in all capital letters because the first letter of each statement, because it's a proper noun. The First Amendment is a proper noun. I'm not putting that on the exam, I just want you guys to know that for future reference. The First Amendment of the Bill of Rights is the First Amendment in the First Amendment is the First Amendment in the Bill of Rights. So the Bill of Rights, those are the first 10 amendments to the US Constitution. Our rights are stated in the Bill of Rights. So our rights as citizens, as civilians, as people, even if you're a non-civilian, the Bill of Rights says what your rights are. The purpose of the Bill of Rights is to state what the government cannot do. So there's going to be instances where the government can't do certain things to you because of the position that you're in, and because of the you have the right to do that. So this situation with Will Smith at the Oscars last night, where he's yelling out, keep my wife's name out your effing mouth at Chris Rock. That would be considered to be against the law also. But in a situation like that, all would happen if it was anybody else but Will Smith, they'd probably get kicked out of the venue. But that's probably going to be, arresting them would be a little too extreme for that statement, and it would also be a natural reaction to somebody making fun of your wife's autoimmune disease. So let's get that out the way. So freedom of religion. So let's talk about this for a second. We've got 2 clauses in the freedom of religion portion of the First Amendment. The first clause is the Establishment Clause. The Establishment Clause. So what is the Establishment Clause, you ask? So it prohibits Congress from establishing an official religion in the United States. So what does that mean? If Congress can't establish an official religion in the United States of America, if Congress is not able to do that, what does that mean? Liz, you want to take a stab at it? Freedom to practice any religion. So freedom to practice any religion. So anybody want to speak to this? Want to say, speak, can you practice any religion? Really think about this. With some restrictions, no cults. Okay, what else probably can't you do? Some people would say all religion is a cult. You know, I wouldn't say that, but there are some people who'd be like, yo, religion is just a cult, period. You know, but there's even if you think that all religions are cults, there are going to be we're not going to go there, Liz. I'm not even going to read that since I'm recording it. I don't fully disagree, but I'm not gonna read that. So even if we concede, like, let's say we believe all religions are cults, there are gonna be gradations to this, right? Not all cults are the same. Not all religions are the same. But when would it be restricted for you to practice a religion? Javier, you want to speak? When would it be restricted for you to participate in some kind of religious practice?
I honestly don't have an answer.
Okay, so we're going to get you an answer because we need you to get an A on the exam. You've been doing awesome this semester, Javier. So okay, so let me ask you this. Would it be okay for my religion to tell you, Javier, I like rolling the tongue when I say your name. Would it be against the law if you came to my church and it was a church that believed in, okay, if you want to be a member of this church, Javier, you will have to take your hand and put it in this box of snakes or put it in this box of scorpions. And you have to have faith that the scorpion won't sting you or the venomous snake won't bite you to be a part of this church. If the snake bites you, that means your faith wasn't strong enough. If the snake doesn't bite you, if the scorpion doesn't sting you, that means your faith was strong enough. Would I be able to operate a church like that legally?
I'd say no, because
right.
You're probably putting people's life in danger.
Exactly. So that's going to be where freedom of religion won't really come into play. There have been churches in the past where that have done such thing, like churches down south, like in the 50s, 60s, 70s, maybe even 80s, where they believed snake handlers churches and scorpions and all that stuff. And when people are getting bitten by snakes or getting stung by scorpions left and right, the government is going to intercede. All right, so just important to know that. The separation of church and state is basically what the Establishment Clause is. So we cannot have an official religion of this country, even though there are some on the right who really do want Christian to be looked at as the official religion of the United States. We can't do that. We do not operate in that fashion. Last week when the Supreme Court was trying to nominate Ketanji Brown Jackson. I hope I'm saying her name right. I call her KBJ just because that's typically what we do in politics. We shorten three three named people to that, but they asked her a lot of questions about faith and her religion and religion and her faith. Typically, that's not supposed to matter in the Constitution when we are selecting judges and stuff, but politically, it probably does matter to some people. Every person who's ran for president ever has been in the Christian religion. It was not the norm when John F. Kennedy was a Catholic. Catholic is still Christian, but it's not like a Protestant Christian. And that was considered a big deal. And now Joe Biden is the president, and he's a Catholic. But every single president believes in Jesus Christ in some form or fashion, has in the past, historically. I don't think we've already had a Black president, and we had a Black female vice president. I don't know when we'll ever see like an agnostic president or an atheist president or something like that. I just don't see it happening, or even a different religion like an Islamic president or a Jewish president. We're talking the religious part of being Jewish. I don't know if we'll ever see anything like that. So then we have the free exercise clause. So the free exercise clause guarantees Americans the right to practice religion as they wish, ... within reason. We just talked about the snake handlers, churches, and things of that nature. You can't just practice religion as you wish. You can practice religion as you wish up until a point. I'm going to leave it at that for now. I'm not going to even mention anybody's religion, old practices of some religions, because some people in this class might be part of that religion. And if they don't do that stuff anymore, it's going to be irrelevant to the discussion at the moment. So freedom of religious worship. I cannot, as your instructor, say we were meeting on the grounds. I cannot say, Javier, I can't say Javier, Wendy, Liz, let's all hold hands before class and pray that class goes well. Why can I not do that? Who do I work for? Who do I work for?
Not the church.
Not the church, but who do I work for? If I don't work for the church, who do I work for?
So you can't like impose your own like religious beliefs on others.
Yes, exactly. I work for the state of California, okay? And we have a separation of church and state. So if I started making you guys pray with me in class, that would not be right. If say Liz, you weren't doing well in the class, say you were struggling with your grade in the class and you asked me for some extra credit. And I said, okay, Liz, I'll give you extra credit, but you have to go to church with me on Sunday and accept Jesus Christ in your heart. Would I be allowed to do that?
No.
No, that'd be against the law, okay? So, freedom of speech guarantees Americans to the right to say what is on their minds in public or in private without fear of punishment or retaliation. I have to add that caveat to this after what we saw at the Oscars last night. Out of fear of punishment or retaliation. Was what Chris Rock said to Jada Pinkett or last night, it was a dated joke. I didn't even think the joke was that funny. But did he have the right to tell that joke? Read this. Did he have the right to
Yes.
tell that? Yes, he did. So this is what I want to drill into your heads. You have the right to say what is on your mind. There are going to be instances where saying what's on your mind is not going to be permitted. But in a situation like this, where a stand-up comedian is on stage at the Oscars telling a joke, Chris Rock, the law protects that. He should be able to tell this joke without fear of getting smacked or punched. Now, people are really serious about their wives or girlfriends, as am I. You know what I'm saying? I'm really like protective of my girlfriend, so much so that we don't go on social media and post a bunch of relationship stuff on social media. And also, my girlfriend is a grown woman. And we've talked about this before. I've been places with her where guys have tried to holler at her, tried to like, you know, say things to her and stuff. And she wants to be able to handle it. She doesn't want me bossing up for her. And the way I see it, I kind of like it that way, because if my girlfriend is going to go off with a guy who's saying disrespectful pickup lines to her and say she goes away with that guy, that woman is not for me. You know what I'm saying? So I can kind of move on from that kind of situation. But the one thing I can't do is I can't, you know, hit that guy, hit her current boyfriend or whatever, because it's against the law. People can say whatever the F they want to say. That's just the sad reality of life. There are going to be instances where speeches can get you in trouble. What I hope to do with you in this class is teach you those situations so you never find yourself in those situations. It does not permit speech that harms other people, okay? So again, Chris Rock's joke was low-hanging fruit, especially if he knew that Jada Pinkett suffered from alopecia. That's low-hanging fruit. In the comic world, typically comedians don't try to do punch down. That's one of the rules. If you punch down, then it's considered disrespectful and it'll get you the wrong kind of laughs. It'll get people awkward. It'll get people reacting the way Will Smith reacted. So that does happen, but that doesn't excuse the violence in any circumstance. Well, we'll talk about certain circumstances when it come up. Slander is intentionally and falsely smearing someone's reputation in a speech. So slander is when you lie on somebody. Lie, not telling a joke. There's a difference between me lying and saying on like a news conference or a news feed saying, me saying, oh, this person is bad at their job, they suck, they're horrible, I don't like them. That's one thing. A comedian telling a joke on stage is not slander. It's just a comedian being funny or trying to be funny. So let me see this comment from Liz. Yeah, oddly, I saw a lot of wives give side with Will's actions on social media. So you're going to see a lot of that. So what that equates to, Liz, is what I call like culture. So what like culture does on social media is you post whatever you post on social media, or you do whatever you do and it gets viral and moves to social media. And then you get a lot of people liking your post or liking whatever you said or did, whatever. They like it. So what that does is then gets a person on a high where they think everybody agrees with them, because you're now in the echo chamber of people liking you. You got wives and girlfriends. Hey, I loved what Will Smith did. That was the right thing to do. I want my man to do that to me. Again, if you're not Will Smith and you do that kind of shit in Ventura County or LA County, you will go to jail for it. And the person who that you did that to, that you victimized in that way, they do not have to press charges for the police to decide they're putting you in jail. This is very, very, very important. Don't ever get caught up in social media bullshit. Please don't do that. Don't ever get caught up in social media where people are liking you when you do stuff like break the law. I've been caught up in social media stuff by myself where people are liking my stuff, whether I'm right or wrong, liking everything and agreeing with me and leaving comments. Yeah, you did the right thing and blah, blah, blah. And I could look back at these posts now and clearly see that I did the wrong thing, okay? So that's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about like culture. Any comments on that? Again, I love Will Smith. I bought the book. I wouldn't if I even though that I like Will Smith and he's one of my faves, I still have to be honest about the behavior. I wouldn't be being true to my profession if I pretended that any of that crap was all right from last night. So this is what slander is: the intentionally and falsely smearing someone's reputation in speech. Does not include the right to endanger the government. So no treasonous behavior. This kind of goes without saying. It'll come up later in the semester, so we'll table this for a while. Also called freedom of expression. So in this class, you will hear me use freedom of speech and freedom of expression interchangeably. Freedom of expression includes freedom of religion, freedom of petition, protest, all that stuff. That's included. Collectively, we call those things freedom of expression, but it all falls under the freedom of speech umbrella in the First Amendment. Okay, so we'll talk a little bit about nationalism. That's going to be the patriotic feeling, principles, or efforts in loving the country. It's perfectly fine to feel pride in your country. But an extreme form of this is marked by a feeling of superiority or over other countries, when you think you are better than people who come from what some consider third world countries, even though that's not politically correct anymore. We call them developing countries now. That's called xenophobia. It's harmful. It's okay to feel pride in your country. It's even fine to feel that you live in the best country. This becomes an issue when we start to think that our way that our way is the best way, and we begin to generalize other countries or races by not living up to American standards. Okay, so this is why nationalism is a problem. This is why racism is a problem, because you don't want to ever get to a point where you start thinking that you're better than people because you're a certain race or because you move in a certain way. Freedom of press. It protects our rights to publish information freely. Does it though? Let's move on and talk about this a little bit more. Libel is basically the written form of slander. Libel, no one is allowed to publish info that will harm others' reputation. Essentially, it has to be a lie, okay? It has to be something that is not true and something that you can prove is not true. I'm going to give you a couple examples. So a long time ago, I used to intern for the courts. This was like in the early days of Yelp and things of that nature. And there was this bakery in the LA area. And somebody went into the bakery. They went on Yelp. Oh, this food is nasty. It was horrible, disgusting. There were roaches crawling everywhere. The restaurant was dirty. Never go to this place. I do not recommend it. So the word got back to the owner of the bakery, and the owner of the bakery sued this citizen for saying all this stuff about her bakery. Who won this case? Who wants to tell me who won that case? Who won the case? Bakery owner, Yelper, who won?
The Yelper,
Why did the Yelper win?
because he has freedom of press.
Freedom of press. So look at this definition again of what libel is. No one is allowed to publish info that will harm others' reputation. So think about this again. Think of what I said the Yelper said, and then tell me your answer again.
Then it would be the restaurant owner,
Then why is the restaurant owner? Why is it the restaurant owner?
because he published something that would harm his reputation.
Okay, so the restaurant, why is there harm in the, why is the Yelper wrong in this situation? Why did he harm the restaurant's reputation, or how did he harm the restaurant's reputation?
His word choices were intended to harm
Well-
the reputation.
So was it harmful for him to say that the food he ate was nasty?
No,
That's an opinion. Was it, where was the harm at in everything I just told you?
I believe it was the cockroaches and never to
Okay.
go there.
Yes. Now, what does the bakery owner have at her disposal that proves her restaurant doesn't have cockroaches?
I forget what it's called, but most likely like when they have them go and clear them, that like,
Yeah. You're talking about an inspection.
yes.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what the bakery owner has at her disposal. She could take that to court, be like, look, this is how clean my restaurant is. The Department of Health cleared me. I have an A restaurant. What do you think the Yelper went into court with?
Nothing, their opinion.
Yeah, they went in there with their opinion. Thank you, Liz. They went in there with their opinion and nothing tangible to back up their opinion. That's why the Yelper lost the case. Now, I think the bakery was suing that guy for like $50,000. She didn't get $50,000. The court, what the court said was, you have to erase this review on your account, or you would be liable for that $50,000. It was a ridiculous amount they were suing for. So then there was another case with a college professor, and he got wind of a student who gave him a bad review on Rate My Professors. So this guy calls the professor in his Rate My Professors review. He calls him dumb. He calls him stupid. This guy couldn't teach his way out of a paper bag. Everything about him is bad. Do not take his class. I give him 0 stars, whatever. That's what he says in his review on Rate My Professors. This, again, word gets back to the professor. He knows the student who posted this review, and then he sees a correlation of people not taking his classes and he pinpoints this review as the reason why students don't take his classes, because the student that posted the review is a popular student on campus. Who wins in that scenario? Again, look at the definition of libel again.
It would be the professor because it harmed his reputation.
Why okay, you're right, Liz, but why did it harm his reputation?
It got students to not take his class.
But why? Because students have that free will anyway. But why?
True.
But why? So why was it harmful though to this guy's reputation and to his pocketbooks? There's a specific reason, a specific thing that I said to you guys. Why did it hurt this guy? What does the professor have to prove that he's not dumb or an idiot or stupid or can't teach his way out of a paper bag? What does he have to prove that?
His degree.
His degree. Again, libel is when you publish something. And when you publish that on Rate My Professors, that is technically publishing. That would technically be considered libel if it's not true. It is not the same as a Chris Rock joke, okay? A joke is one thing. The crap they do on SNL, that's parody. Those are jokes. Those are other things, because when on SNL, what they do on SNL rather, is they are so outrageous with making fun of people that no reasonable person would actually think it's true in that way. You're just laughing. It's an exaggerated version of the truth, right? It's not like this is really the person, but it just makes you laugh and stuff. So that's different than going on Yelp or going on Rate My Professors and then just saying something that could be proven to be false. That's the law defines the truth as something that can be proven to be truth, and it defines a lie as something that can't be proven to be true. That's how we define the laws in this class. Can't endanger the government. We'll talk about stuff like that later. Americans have the right to read what other people have published. They got the right to listen to jokes. They've got the right to make fun of you, especially if you're a public figure. They've got the right to make fun of you. So again, censorship, this is going to be a great thing too, because the government can't censor you, but an individual business can censor you, right? So if Twitter kicks Donald Trump off of Twitter, because they are a business, they are well within their rights to do that. If you go to a restaurant and you're cussing really loud and being obnoxious, the restaurant owner could ask you to leave because that's infringing on his First Amendment. If he has a restaurant that he owns where he doesn't want people cussing, or if I go to your house and your rule is take your shoes off before I come in your house, I can either A, take my shoes off when I enter your house, or B, just not go inside your house because I don't like that rule. What I can't do is leave my shoes on and say, I do what I want to do, blah, blah, blah. Then I could get the police called on me and they could remove me from your place. So it protects rights to assemble peacefully. So we have that right to peacefully assemble. Protects the right to form and join organizations. The right to petition. Guarantees the right to petition the government. We don't have to like the things that the government does, so we can protest, we could petition and get people's signatures and then could take it to Gavin Newsom. Gavin Newsom could look at this, or California Congress could look at this, and they could give it to Gavin Newsom, and Gavin Newsom can turn this into a law if we're serious enough about it. And this happens all the time in California. If you ever go to the beach, you see people passing out, these notices for certain causes that they want you to get a signature on. People at school sometimes do that. But you're like, yo, hey, this law, we're trying to get this passed in January. Can you please sign? It always makes sense for you to read that stuff, even if you're in a rush. And be like, if you're in a rush, like, yo, I'll come back and read it. But you need to know what's coming down the pipeline as far as California laws are concerned, and locally as Ventura laws are concerned. Petition is a formal request. So that's basically what I just described for you. Not going to go over that again. We have the right to express our ideas to the government. Freedoms do not allow us to do things that break the law. Read this a couple times. Freedoms do not allow us to do things that break the law. Freedoms do not allow us to do things that break the law. Kanye West stalking Kim Kardashian, that's almost breaking the law. Running up on stage and smacking Chris Rock in front of everybody, that is breaking the law. So we'll talk about some other forms of this. So let's move to this topic. So is it illegal for Trump protesters to protest at Trump rallies? Read this carefully, and then tell me what your answer is. Is it illegal for Trump protesters to protest at Trump rallies? Yes, no. Is it illegal for Trump protesters to protest at Trump rallies? Who wants to go ahead.
I would say no, but it's probably not a smart idea.
So you say no, but it's probably not a smart idea. Let's stick to the first part of what you said. You said no. Why do you think it's not illegal?
Because you have the right to assemble as long as it's peaceful.
Okay, that's true. And then you've been paying attention, Liz, so I'm glad you said that. But why is it illegal? Because it's not legal. Why is it illegal?
Oh, because it's there, I guess, it might be not peaceful.
Okay, so let me unconfuse you. Say we are in a classroom setting. Say we're in a classroom setting, and I am lecturing in the classroom. You're all sitting at your desk. Javier, Liz, Danny, Wendy, everybody in the class is sitting at their desk, and I'm trying to lecture. So say a student from 3 semesters ago walks into the classroom, and then he starts yelling, "F you, Dr. Ely, I hate you. A few semesters ago, you gave me a C on my final grade, and my girlfriend broke up with me, and I lost my house, and I lost everything because you gave me that C. My job fired me because I was supposed to get this degree, and you effed me over. F you, middle fingers everywhere. I hate you, Ely. I hope you die." Right in the middle of the classroom, right as I'm lecturing you guys. Is that legal? Is that legal? Is it legal? Is it legal? Someone's answering this, goddammit. Is it legal? No. Why is it not legal?
Because it's disrupting the peace.
It's disrupting the class, but what else is it doing? The classroom when I am teaching inside the classroom and you guys are my students, this is our venue. This is my venue for me to teach you guys political science, to give you guys a First Amendment lecture. And this guy barges into the classroom a few semesters ago, and he says all this stuff about me, a personal beef that he yells about in class. And he barges into the classroom. What law is he breaking outside of disturbing the peace? What law is he breaking when he goes inside the classroom? Daniel, if I go inside of your house and just steal a bottle of orange juice from your fridge, and I didn't ring the doorbell, I just went inside your house. Let's say I didn't even steal the orange juice. Let's just say I barged into your house and sat down and start watching TV. Say I start watching Will Smith smack the shit out of Chris Rock at the Oscars. What am I doing if I just go inside your house and watch TV?
Trespassing.
Trespassing, okay? Trespassing. So when you protest, you can't go inside the Trump rally and do it. You know, I thought the right wingers in this class might want to hear this because I know the law. Dr. Ely, I'm a pretty big deal around these parts, right? But anyway, you can't go inside the rally. That is going to be against the law. It will be trespassing. You could get arrested for it. So you don't do that kind of thing. If you trespass in somebody's house, in a lot of places, they have the legal right to shoot you dead. Understand that. So you don't go inside the Trump rally. If you're going to protest at a Trump rally, you want to do it on the public sidewalk away from the rally. If you ever drive down the street and you see grocery store workers protest in the grocery store, typically, where are they at when they're protesting? Where do you see grocery store workers protesting?
In the corner of the street.
Yes. Thank you for that, Wendy. You see them in the street. You do not see them inside the restaurant or inside the grocery store protesting, because if they do that, they are then trespassing and they can get arrested. If they're on the parking lot, they could be arrested for trespassing. You don't protest inside the grocery store or in the parking lot. You protest on the street away from that stuff. The public, not even the street, because you need a permit to protest in the street. There's rules to protest. Protest on a public sidewalk. You can't block anybody's walking or driving when you protest. That's a rule about protesting. Typically, you want to tell the police, tell Ventura PD, tell LAPD, whoever, hey, we're going to be protesting this day, and there's going to be a certain amount of people there, and then the police will act accordingly. But you don't just trespass on somebody's property. That's breaking the law. So 7 types of speech that the First Amendment does not protect. So I'm going to go through this pretty fast for me at least. You know, I like to drill things in you guys and gals, but let's go with this. Hate speech. So this isn't necessarily true, and it's very, very tricky, because there has been instances where I have seen hate speech protected, what I would call hate speech protected. And it's going to apply differently to different areas. So again, when I used to work at the courts, there was this court case where this guy, and I talked about this in the last video, this guy these 2 guys are playing a basketball, this white guy and this black guy. They're playing basketball, and then the white guy and him get into an argument. He calls the black guy the N-word, and then the black guy punches him in the jaw, dislocates his jaw, a little bit, but it's not like irreparable damage. It's just he punched him in the jaw. The case makes it to the court. The judge says, hey, it was wrong for this guy to punch you in the face, but when you called him the N-word, those are fighting words. So again, there's this thing called fighting words doctrine in the Constitution. You could Google it if you want to. And you cannot say racially charged homophobic slurs to people. And if a fight breaks out, there is going to be an understanding that what you did was so triggering that it caused a fight. And especially you're playing on the basketball court, so the competition is there, adrenaline is pumping. What Will Smith did at the Oscars wasn't that kind of a situation because it was Chris Rock. It was a joke. They were at a formal affair. Will Smith ran on stage. His adrenaline was probably pumping, but it wasn't pumping because of a physical activity. It was pumping because he was triggered at this guy saying this stuff. So I've seen instances where judges, the exact same scenario, where certain judges might say, hey, under no circumstance can you hit somebody for calling you a name, even if it is a racial slur, because that's a bridge too far. There was a case in Tennessee where these guys beat this dude to death because he was riding with the Confederate flag through their neighborhood. Neighborhood happened to be a black neighborhood. The black guys pulled him out the truck, beat him up, beat him to the point of almost death. And the judge and jury in that situation said, okay, yeah, maybe he shouldn't be driving around with a Confederate flag, but your reaction to this was way worse than what it should have been. You damn near killed this person because he had a Confederate flag. That's not how we operate in civil society. So somebody's got to be punished for it, okay? So this Snyder versus Phelps case, for time purposes, I'm not going to show it to you in class, but watch it when you get a chance. It shows how much the Supreme Court protects the First Amendment, even in situations where, protesters could be wrong. The First Amendment is usually going to be one of the most protected amendments in the Constitution. Inciting violence. Speech that incites or encourages violence, audience that encourages an audience to commit illegal or dangerous acts. So again, Will Smith, Jada Pinkett calling Will Smith's wife G.I. Jane or G.I. Jane Part 2 or whatever he said, that's not necessarily inciting violence. It was an unfunny joke, maybe not to Will Smith, but to other people. It's like, this is much ado about nothing. But if you encourage violence, like there's a radio station, race down over to Z95.8 and win these Beyonce tickets, break traffic and break laws and do whatever you want to do. Get here, get here, get here, and then a bunch of people start driving to get these concert tickets. And then there's a big thing and car accidents pile up on the 405 freeway or whatever. And the people said when they asked why the accident happened, I'm trying to win these Beyonce tickets. The judge will be like, it's not like the person who's racing and driving crazy won't get in trouble, but the judge and the jury were also like, okay, but you incited this violence by this ridiculous contest you gave out. I seen a water drinking contest on the radio where this guy's drinking like a gallon of water, then his stomach explodes. and the radio station is held liable for that. Okay. This is how these things go. Supporting terrorism. The Patriot Act outlawed material support to domestic and foreign terrorist groups, even if that support intends to offer a peaceful resolution, peaceful alternatives to conflict through humanitarian aid. Even if it is a relative of ours who just committed an act, and he tells us that he committed an act of violence, what are we supposed to do at that point? I'm not telling you what you would do, but what are we supposed to do if a criminal comes into our house? What does the law say we're supposed to do? Javier, does the law say we're supposed to hide the criminal until the police go away?
No, you're supposed to
Okay.
report it.
So what are we? We're supposed to report it. That is what we're supposed to do. Look, I'm from South Central, so I understand why people wouldn't want to do that. But my job as your political science instructor is to tell you what the law is. That is all that matters in this class, okay? So understand you cannot hide relatives and expect to not go to jail for it if you got caught. At that point, you're an accomplice. Just saying. Public employee speech. The public speech made in the conduct of their duties by public employees may not be protected. So this short story version of this story, Richard Sabalos, he goes on Twitter, he goes on this racial rant. LAPD picks up on it. He gets fired because of the racial rant that he went on. Again, you got to understand situations. If you're critically thinking about this, why is this a problem? Why is this police officer, Richard Sabalos, saying racial things on Twitter a problem for the LAPD or the LASD in this case? So I'm going to tell you why. The problem is the LA Sheriff's Department and the LAPD already get a lot of scrutiny because of the way they handle certain cases, especially cases that involve race and stuff like that. So if Richard Sabalos ever was in a situation that was a racial situation and he does something and someone ends up dying, say it's a Mexican guy ends up dying and he was talking mess about Mexicans, and the guy ends up dying, even if it was an accident on Richard Sabalos's part, these tweets might suggest otherwise, you know? So it's really, really important to understand the power of your words, the power of our words, right? You don't ever want to get caught slipping, saying or doing something that is stupid. Public employee speech. So again, you don't have to be on the clock to get fired. If Disney wanted to fire Will Smith from Aladdin 2, Warner Brothers wanted to fire Will Smith from any future movies. He did King Richard with Warner Brothers, The Suicide Squad with Warner Brothers, a lot of different movies with these studios. They can technically be like, yo, Will Smith, you are unhinged. We do not want to do movies with you. That's going to be what they're allowed to do. And they could terminate a contract for that, you know, for Will Smith clocking a guy in the face. They could be like, okay, we're terminating our contract with you. Especially if people start protesting this loud enough, that could happen. I don't think it will happen, but it could. That is why you don't ever want to get caught slipping. You just don't. Know the law, my students, all right? Defamation, again, that's going to be lies. So it's going to be slander and lie, and slander and libel together. We just collectively call that defamation. There are going to be instances where it's not really defamation. Again, what Chris Rock did to Will Smith, legally, it's not defamation. It's just a comedian making a joke. If a big lawsuit comes out and Will Smith wins the lawsuit, then a precedent has been changed. But that usually doesn't happen with these kinds of cases, because this one is a pretty cut and dry case. And I can say this as a Will Smith fan, because we saw what happened on camera. He yelled the joke, the ABC cut the feed, then the feed gets posted to Twitter. It gives you more context. It is what it is. And now, instead of celebrating this man winning the Oscar, something I was rooting for all since the nominations got announced about over a month ago, we're talking about this. It's a sad state of affairs. I feel for Will Smith. I hope he bounces back. I feel for Chris Rock. I feel for Jada. I hope this situation resolves, but it's an unfortunate situation. So Mike Tyson, unfortunately or fortunately, depending on your vantage point, he was found guilty of rape by a jury of his peers. So if someone were to call Mike Tyson a rapist, they would be well within their rights to do so, because there is legal papers that state that Mike Tyson was found guilty of this, okay? Charlie Sheen, so it depends on what you're suing, what Charlie Sheen does. But if you were saying Charlie Sheen gave me HIV, you would have to move heaven to prove that, because then it has to get into the weeds of all your sexual partners. If you're Charlie Sheen's wife, that's easier to prove. If you're just some woman that he messed around with, or some man that he messed around with, and you're saying he gave you HIV, you've got to start getting blood tests of every single partner that you had. It's going to be a tedious, long process. So it's a complicated situation. O.J. Simpson was found not guilty of murder. So in a situation like this, O.J. Simpson found not guilty of murder. He is going to be protected in the sense that you can't technically call him a murderer, because he was found not guilty of it, even though everyone thinks he is a murderer. Even if when they do biopics of O.J. Simpson, they don't ever explicitly call him a murderer. They might imply it. They can't call him that because he'd be able to sue. But if O.J. Simpson sued every single person who accused him of murder, he'd be tied up in litigation for the rest of his life. It just is what it is. He's kind of have to live with this scarlet letter on him. And so does Zimmerman. You can call him a killer because he admitted to killing Trayvon Martin, but calling him a murderer is an extra step up. But again, he's a one like O.J. Simpson, where he'd be tied up in litigation for the rest of his life if he tried to sue for that. So anyway, obscenity, child porn, something like that is always going to be illegal. If you have it on you, you get arrested and put in jail forever. This is a bad thing and a bad look. The Jared from Subway, that guy, I think he got punished more for the child porn that he had on him with like 14-year-old girls on it than he did for actually having sex with the minor, because I I think that's what it was, because in this state, the age of consent was like 16. So even though to me, that's just way too young, but it wasn't technically against the law, but having child porn on you is against the law. Understand these things. No public cussing. So again, you can't be at the restaurant and just swearing up to the top of your lungs and not expect the manager to kick you out. That'll be the manager's discretion. Nudity, in the right context, nudity is going to be all right. If you're at a nudist beach, that's fine. If you're walking down the street, probably not. If you're inside of a restaurant, probably not. If you're in the strip club, nudity is fine. If you tried to call the cops on strippers at a strip club for being naked in the strip club, you might get, the cops might look at you like you're stupid. Just is what it is. But as far as, there's always going to be places where things would fly and would not fly. That could be a very great area, except the child porn thing. That's not a great area, but nudity could be a great area. If you're in a strip club and you call the cops, hey, quick, there's a bunch of naked women in the strip club. Come here quick, arrest them all. That's going to be stupid. If you go to a nightclub and there are people that are loudly cussing, that is going to be different than if you go to Coco's and people are loudly cussing. A nightclub environment is that environment for a reason. Okay. Threats, you can't threaten to beat people down, kick someone's ass. You can't put someone in danger. And I see people do this all the time back when I was an intern at the courts. They would text message, in text messages would send threats to their ex-girlfriend, ex-boyfriend. Oh, next time I see you, I'm gonna kill you. Or next time I see that dude you with, I'm gonna F him up. This is proof. This is now proof, right? If you take this to a court, the judge doesn't effing know you. They don't know who you are. All they know is the text message that they see. Yes. So that's that. You're not Liz, we're not gonna see the text on the recording because I transfer it to YouTube. The text is there, but I don't want my students getting caught up if it wasn't a question that they wanted to ask in a recording. So the question is not gonna be posted on the video. You got my word. It'll be on YouTube, and the YouTube is only this video. All right. Can't threaten to kick somebody's ass, but whatever you want to call it, can't threaten to do that. I need to switch that. It's not black male as in black as a black man. It's black male, BLACKMAIL. That needs to be changed immediately. Forgive me, but you can't blackmail somebody. That's against the law. No quid pro quo, favor for a favor. That's just another degree of blackmail. If your boss can't be like, oh, I'll promote you, but you got to meet me on Saturday night to do, what you need to do. You can't do that kind of shit, okay? So again, look at these hate speech. Again, there's gonna be instances where something's gonna be permitted, but you just gotta make sure that you know the law, understand the law, so you do not get caught up slipping in these areas. The whole purpose of knowing the law is that we do not get caught slipping. Any questions? Okay, so if there are no more questions, you are free to go. Enjoy the rest of your day. I'm gonna probably lecture again because there's at least a couple more lectures that I think you guys need before you start the exam. So I'll probably do one more. The First Amendment lecture runs long, and for some reason I thought I'd already did it, but I didn't. So it is what it is. I'll see you guys later. See you ladies later. Peace out. Have a great day. Have a great week. And don't smack anybody in the face this week. All right. All right. Peace, y'all.
Okay, thanks. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. No problem. See ya.